Right. What's up, buddies? Hey, surprise
Thanks,
guest
Jimmy.
tonight.
Nothing good.
I think that's the
Surprise
best part
guest
of the
tonight.
best part of the night.
Surprise guest.
We all want to fast forward to that. Yeah, maybe we can reverse them. Can we do locker room first?
Have your dessert. Have your dessert first. Yeah,
We've announced a surprise guest, so we can.
I know that's the joke.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, I hope that our surprise guest isn't so pissed about this game where he just says "f this." I
I'm
don't
watching
feel
him
like
right
talking.
now. He looks pretty ornery.
I wouldn't blame him.
Oh,
He
perfect.
looks like James Harden. He looks like James Harden with that beard, man. That thing's
Yes.
getting out of control.
He looks pretty ornery.
First question. First
so-
question to Perk. Why are you trying to be like James Harden? Started off
Everything.
real good.
This they've done this to us
I-
before, guys, and this was one of those like you're rip roaring mad for like 42 minutes, 45 minutes. And then they make it relatively competitive late. But I'm for the first time ever, I'm leading with Bobby because he's rip roaring mad, and I don't want any of that anger to go away. So we're just gonna go Bobby Cam right out of the gate. Go.
Shucks.
Wow.
This
Oh man, no pressure.
this performance was so shameful. I recorded one of those 1 minute short things about how excited I was for this.
Yeah, we
and
saw
this was
it,
an absolute
unfortunately.
this was an absolute disaster. The turnovers with this team. What is going on with this group's ball control? I don't care who's out there. At the very least, whether you're Grant Williams, Romeo Langford, any of these guys deep off this bench who were just horrible in this one. Protect the ball. And it went for the starters as well, of course. Tatum, Fournier, Smart with the looseness that they played this game with. But this was an opportunity to not make a statement, but at least show you can beat this team. Because if you were going to beat the Brooklyn Nets at some point in this season, the time you were going to do it was here. And they showed no urgency. They showed a passiveness and a carelessness for ball control. And they allowed role players like Jeff Green, Bruce Brown, Joe Harris, Blake Griffin to take it to them in an embarrassing way. I thought the coaching was bad in this one. I thought the rotations were horrible. And I thought Marcus Smart and Jayson Tatum just set the worst example as ball handlers. I don't care who the Celtics were missing in this one. It was negated by what Brooklyn was missing and then some. And there were periods of this game where they didn't even show up. And I thought this game was way more important than they seemed to.
Look, when you got a guy on a red eye flight from freaking Moscow who just rolls into the gym,
Oh, think
no
of
practices,
Mike James?
and Mike, he was actually
Mike
better
James.
than damn near every single backup the Celtics threw out there, and he literally just got up the damn plane. Mike,
He was just happy to
freaking
be there.
James.
He was like, "Yo, I'm back, bitches."
Yeah, and this is
I'm
what
busting
frustrates me
you.
too.
Yeah, and I'm going to hit you with jumpers, and then I'm going to go a la Kareem
Still hasn't dried yet.
Abdul-Jabbar and hit you with the running
Bro.
skyhook.
You've
I
been
mean,
waiting for this for 3 years.
It was an embarrassment. And then you got the fast break points. 32-0?
0.
How does that happen?
You say 32?
I don't even
Three
care what
deuce.
Brooklyn got. 0 for the Celtics.
That is
Are you
crazy.
kidding me? I mean, NBC showed the graphic during the game. This is the best points per possession transition team in the NBA, and they never, ever run. It starts with defense because the defense is bad, and if you're not getting stops, you're not going to have a transition game. But beyond that, they just scrape along. The only guy I'm going to give credit on the Celtics tonight, and the guy who saved them, frankly, was Peyton Pritchard. That's it. He was the only guy that impressed me in this one.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Bobby, because I was the one screaming in the text thread, being like, "Where is Peyton Pritchard?" Oh wait, now you're gonna put him in when all hell.
Oh, those fourth quarter rotations,
It
my
was
lord!
ridiculous. I thought in that third quarter they needed someone out there that can control the offense, just someone to tame what was going on because the turnovers were turning into quick points for the Brooklyn Nets, and you needed someone to be out there. Look, Marcus Smart, he was on one, and then he was making a silly pass every other play. Right? It was like he make a good offensive shot, and then he would commit a turnover. They needed that balance, and I was really surprised that we didn't see Peyton Pritchard sooner. And listen, it's easy to say that now because you see his stat line, but he had barely hit the 10-minute mark through 3 quarters. I just thought that was unacceptable when you have Kemba Walker not in the fold. All right, I'm not saying you start the guy. I'm not saying that you give the rookie 30+ minutes just because Kemba Walker's not out there. But we're weeks away from the playoffs. We're talking about a team that's going to need someone like that to control this second unit. And if you're not going to give him that reps, if you're not going to give him reps on a night when Kemba Walker's not in, what are we doing here? I just didn't understand that part of Brad Stevens' rotation.
What was
That's why as soon as Bobby said rotations, I was like, yes.
What was the white flag?
That part.
what was the white flag lineup to begin the fourth with Tatum in there?
Carson
I mean,
Edwards.
it's
Carson
one or the
freaking
other.
Edwards was out there, man.
Look at what's happened to these guys, Jimmy.
Yo,
This is,
no, Bobby.
hey,
I'm
John,
not
Bobby
gonna.
kicked off
I'm
the
not
show
gonna
right.
have to
I'm
say a
just
word
saying,
all
this is
night.
beautiful.
All right?
I'm
I
just
like
nodding my head like, yeah.
I won't
Well,
say a
no,
word all
it's
night.
it's just this is the kind of game where you have to make some kind of statement. All right, the Nets are.
Well, they did.
that-
They made a statement.
Yo, for real.
You're right
Yeah,
about
they just
that.
didn't make the statement you wanted them to make.
You're
Listen,
right
this,
about
Yo,
that.
the
this
Celtics
loss.
let the Nets show how deep they are as a team, and then the Celtics did nothing about it. When regardless, okay, you don't have Jaylen Brown out there, you still have Tatum. You're not playing against Kevin Durant. I thought this was a great opportunity just to grab a win, not
Sure.
blow them
Well, I've
out,
done
but
my-
just grab a win. Go out there
I've
and grab
done
a win.
I've done
This-
my best to defend Grant Williams against the herd here, and I can't do it tonight. I just can't. They're gonna have to have Adam because there's nothing I can say after this one.
Serious
Oh, Shaq,
question.
for sure.
If you put together Grant Williams' lowlights tape, would it be the worst tape in the history of a single
It's up
season?
there.
Like some of his stuff is so ugly. Forget like bad play or not being impactful or
That layup was
just
wild.
some of his ugly shit is so freaking
How-
ugly.
Yeah.
How
When he goes
confused-
ugly, he goes real ugly. Credit to
How
him. He goes
confused
all
was
out.
DeAndre Jordan when he tried to help him up on the fast break? Jordan his head must have been spinning as he was nursing that injury on the ground.
Yeah, so if the commenters are accurate, tonight's loss is entirely Grant Williams and Brad Stevens' fault. And
No,
that's that.
everybody shares.
I'm
some
just
blame
kidding.
here.
I mean,
Wait, hold on.
This
Pass
loss.
the rage stick to Jimmy because he
Yo,
wanted to get a
Shemi
little
started
angry.
this game.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
All right, John, think about that.
Here's the thing. Here's why I'm not even. You know what's the worst part about my reaction is that I'm not even really that surprised. Like that's the worst part, right? The opposite of love or opposite of love is indifference. That's how I feel about this team right now, man. Because this loss was just like all their other losses. You know, they go down big, claw their way back to this fake little comeback, and then lose, and then.
But
drag
this
out
has
the
been
last
such a
20
good
minutes
month
of
for
the game.
them, Jimmy. I mean,
It
they've
has been,
changed
it has been,
themselves.
but when the big boy teams come to town, what happens to the Celtics in most cases? A lot of times, they come back down to earth a little bit. So that's what we got tonight. And honestly, you had a game from Kyrie Irving that was, defensively excellent, but offensively very meh. Below
Yeah.
average offensively. I mean, he filled up the stat sheet because that's what great players do. But this was a game that without Harden, without Durant, with Kyrie Irving scoring 15 points, if you told me the Celtics won by 20 points, I wouldn't be surprised if you told me those three things happened. But instead, you got Bruce freaking Brown coming out of left field, dropping 15 on you. Joe Harris turning into Steph Curry. And, like you said, Jeff Green, doing what Jeff Green does, which is, make a career out of being like the fifth guy on the team, doing that again. And
Hey,
the
he's doing pretty
Celtics
well
are
at
just
it, man.
sleepwalking through the game, and then they make it look interesting in the end, but ultimately come up short like they always do in these situations. So, I'm glad that Bobby came around on this one because I couldn't go another show with him picking out the good moment.
Yeah, but
Do you see
Grant,
what you guys did?
Grant could go out and drop 12.
You've made Bobby mad.
Bobby's turn right back.
You
up.
made
He'll
him
turn-
very
he'll do a 180
upset.
Next week.
You've
He'll do a 180 next week.
upset Bobby. Okay.
I'm
know,
so
because
happy.
What you did to the kid, man?
When you lose, Bobby, you've lost the war. That's it.
There's a pride factor when it comes to this matchup, and they just don't seem to be able to tap into it because again and again they've been embarrassed by this team, and we can go game by game whether it was Kyrie's return scoring upwards of 40 in the second night of the season that was just a competitive list disaster, the game out of the All-Star break where Smart got lit up by him again, and now to lose to Bruce Brown, Mike James, those type of players. Jimmy said it best. Kyrie barely showed up in this one.
I just watched him
didn't have-
play up Smart's pass to the bench. That was tough.
Oh,
And then he yells at the players.
We didn't
He was
even
like,
get into the
Get
late
off the
game
sidelines.
execution.
Why are you guys standing there cheering for us? What's wrong?
They're
with
in
you?
warm-up shirts, but I mean, it wasn't like they were wearing white jerseys, but I mean, damn.
And someone said this to me. This was such a winnable game right up until the final minutes. The Nets let them right back into three with about 2 minutes
the
left.
urgency? How, if you're Jayson Tatum, are you so careless with the ball there? He single-handedly kept them alive, so they're not even close if Tatum's not there. How do you allow that to happen? You're not even in a pressure situation yet. You're just bringing the ball up to enter.
Right.
I mean, I was just
Yeah.
inexcusable.
Then he's mad at the refs.
Then he's mad at the refs. Look, pass out of the freaking double, man. You know, like and crossing half court and you let Kyrie just jab step you and you lose it out of bounds. You can't do that. You can't do it. You
Bad
know,
turnovers.
the
So
smart thing was unreal. You know,
That was
there's
the
so many
worst
breakdowns. Fournier there on the switch, leaving Harris open. I mean, this is crazy. This is
time you mentioned
after
Fournier.
Brooklyn gifted you an opportunity to get back in the game. That stuff didn't even matter. Really, the game was
and you see the difference in makeup between these teams.
yeah.
When you're the Nets and you're missing all these pieces and you have guys step up off the bench the way they did, and Sherrod said it best with the Mike James thing. When did the Celtics ever get that kind of performance deep off their bench? Even like Tremont Waters did it once all year, a couple of nights ago, and he tried his best to get them back into it.
Sorry, who?
But again and again off this bench, it's just nothing.
Like, not only does the Brooklyn Nets have that deep bench, but they're like, everyone just knows their role and they're like eager to do it. They're like, yeah, man, I can't wait to come off this bench and play for this Nets team.
That team's gonna win it all.
Those shots.
They have great
no
makeup.
Selfishness there. There's no someone trying to do too much or trying to take over a game. You know, just listen. Before the season even started, we knew about the shooters that they have, but now like they've sharpened those skills, right? They had that continuity. They had that blend. They had that chemistry. You can say what you want about the three superstars, and I think they've only played, 9 games together this season. But, I mean, the rest of the team looked pretty damn good, especially compared to the Celtics. I just thought Celtics team, I just thought it was a good chance for them to stand up for themselves, you know, to send a message, even if it's, without Durant in the picture.
That's the thing, too. If we're going to give these guys, if we're going to say there's times in the season, right, but with the bench here, look, there's times during the season we look around and we're like, Tatum and Brown got to get these guys involved a little bit. Well, you know what? You got games here with 3 and 4 guys missing, and you've got a chance to step up and freaking do something. You can't play a game like Romeo played tonight. You can't play a game like Grant played tonight. I mean, detriments, absolutely negative value. Pritchard answers
and they
the
started.
bell.
Well, the worst part about the worst part about those guys sucking is that this was their opportunity to show that they don't completely suck, because you had so many guys out. You had Kemba out, you had Brown out, Robert Williams has been out, and you're putting these guys in that to prove that they can have a bigger role in this team, whether it's this season or next season or whatever the hell it is, or maybe even in the league. And just about all the way down the line, you can just be like disappointed. I mean,
and that's
Langford.
The difference between these guys and Brooklyn. Brooklyn, you got guys like Shamit. You got guys like Jeff Green. You got freaking Mike James just get off the plane. Bag's probably still at the damn at baggage claim.
Mike James,
he's stepping on the court
he's on the wrong clock right now.
Exactly, and he's still killing you.
Listen, but I mean, look at these guys. These numbers.
That's crazy.
The non-Pritchard bench guys: Parker 2, Grant 3, Neismith 5. Okay, Cornett 2, Fournier 2. Are you friggin' kidding me?
0.
And then Romeo 0, Semi 3. No freaking way. Unsustainable. This is how many guys here you handed 15 plus minutes and said, do something. And they did nothing. That is disgraceful. It's disgraceful.
Beyond the stats, John, they make 0 impact, which to me was even worse.
0.
Because if you only score 3 points, but you get it done defensively, you can live with that. They sucked defensively. They didn't score. They brought no value other than Pritchard off that second unit.
That's
warm bodies.
That's it. You had 2 starters.
Warm.
2 starters were 0s tonight, and then 5 bench guys outside of Pritchard. Absolute 0s across the board, not just the points. 0 contributions. And Fournier, first game back, absolute trash. Okay, he was trash tonight. You can excuse
Horrible.
it, sure, but he was trash.
Right.
This is unsustainable. Again, for all the time we've talked about it. Like, look, we're gonna we're giving Tatum shit for late game stuff because if not for him,
what's he supposed to do?
If not for him, they're freaking
shit.
doomed. He has to be perfect. He has to be perfect.
Dude, I don't even blame half the turnovers on him. He's like, shit, I'm just going to try to dribble through 5 people before I pass to one of these schmucks.
And this is what drove me crazy when he was getting the blame earlier in the year. It's like,
he's
what
not
does
getting
he have
the blame.
to work
He's
with?
being held to a ridiculously high standard because he has to be. But it's like, it is at this point, you can't look around the rest of this team and be like, these are professional basketball players.
So
They're not.
It's so bad, and this is why Ainge caught the heat early in the year.
Ugh.
It's just so bad up and down the bench, and it's got to change this offseason. And give him credit for trying to swap some stuff in and out when they didn't have a ton of flexibility here within the year. But wow, like it needs to be blown up quickly this offseason.
Actually, I'll take it back. Neismith. Actually, what's funny is we're not going to get into Romeo Neismith for the rest of the night, but it looked like Romeo had distanced himself in terms of trust and playing over Neismith, and then he's just last couple games started to tick back, and Neismith has shown a little. Neismith showed a little bit tonight. He
can't compete. He didn't play well, but his effort was good. I mean, trying to dunk
8
on
rebounds.
Guys
he had 8 rebounds. Trying to dunk was a little not the right call.
It was a bad idea in every sense.
That was like Jaylen would do stuff like that too. He's like, I'm going to yoke it from back here, and he's like 15 feet from the rim. But also Jaylen can jump out of the gym. Neismith can't. But that was something different. I like him. The guy got excited.
I'll give it to him for trying.
He also got on that poster, right?
Yeah, but holy shit.
It was one of those. As soon as it happened to you, he just went running back to the other side. Yep, I got.
Holy S was that bad, man. I was psyched about tonight.
Cornett's dunk. Don't forget Cornett's reverse jam.
That was smooth.
That was like
the worst.
He just turned around. That was an Ed Pinckney special.
It was the worst.
It frustrates me too. From a
Ed Pinckney, if he was standing facing the basket, he would turn around and reverse dunk it every time.
So that frustrates me too, and that's just one of the minor things. But 8 minutes for him.
Have you ever seen a less emotional dunk than that two-handed reverse jam by Cornett? It was
game blouses.
I'm just glad he got it over the rim. I wasn't sure how he was going to score.
Oh my God, Cornett! Bobby actually, and this is how bad the bench is. Bobby was like, Cornett just saved the game. Like that's how low
that
we
stretch in the second
remember
quarter.
that text he sent us? He goes, Cornett saved the game.
Well, they were about to slide down by 20 at that point, and then they ended up making it 9 before half, and he was part of that.
But
good
that just goes to show how
defense.
low our expectations have gotten. You know.
Again, though, if you're Brad and you're going to talk about how he replicates some of the things Rob does, and he's such a great passer, and he fits so well with this team, and we've had an eye on him forever, and then you play him 8 minutes, it's like, which is it? Are you going to integrate him more fully or not at this point? Because he played some good minutes there, and then they got away from him again. And I know you guys are going to laugh, but look at the other stuff they're working there. Yeah. As long as Rob's out, he should be playing.
I don't know if he's on that same the same thing the same program I think Pritchard should be on. I don't know if he's on the same thing. You know,
he's not.
I don't know if he's quite there, but
he's not.
Pritchard barely getting in, barely playing 10 minutes of the first 3 quarters. Again, I don't know. I think
especially when no one ahead of him had it going.
That's
exactly. Like, what's the alternative? Like, why wait for the huge deficit to press that button in that second half?
And John hinted at this, sprinkling around minutes away. Brad did. That's probably not the right way to go about it. Because you're not letting any of these guys catch a flow. You're just guessing on the fly, is something going to work here? And then all of a sudden, you're not consolidating minutes on a guy like Pritchard, who's actually playing really well, because you're looking for, what can Neismith give us? What can Grant give us here? Semi plays 17. It's just experiment city deep into the season. And I get it. That's how he approaches it. They found some stuff doing things that way. But tonight, they just had to kind of lean in on what was working, press some guys a little deeper, and really dig deep to win this one. And I thought that beginning of the fourth, where they were just completely guessing with 7 Edwards minutes, was so frustrating to me. And
that seemed like more of a message than a guess. You know, like, if none of you friggin' guys are stepping up, I'll play this guy. Like, then you know you fucked up, right? You know, like, it's okay.
But this is the point. One injury.
I'm putting Carson in. Dad, I'm not mad. Dad's not mad. He's disappointed. Okay. He's disappointed. He's putting Carson in now. Okay.
Oh man.
Ugh.
He's also going crazy.
It's really bad.
And I feel so differently than Jimmy, because I do see something with this team.
It's a good thing for me.
I think they have something. If they can stay healthy, if they can keep most of these guys that we talk about off the floor come playoff time, but it just seems so unlikely that that's going to happen. So,
but here's the thing, Bobby. I mean, keeping most of the guys we're talking about off the floor, that means you're playing your core guys major minutes. That means they have to be healthy enough to play major minutes, which they haven't been.
Yeah.
It's a catch-22. It's a catch-22 for the Celtics. Damned if they do, damned if they don't with this team. And that sucks that we're having that it's at that point so close to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we
Seriously.
mentioned it. Somebody asked us last night in the locker room, like, what can this team do when they're healthy? Or, one of those variations. The question was like, you have no damn clue, like, what they're even capable of, because it hasn't even been close to, like, a healthy team this year. And you're coming down the stretch here, and this is the time where you want to see your full roster. And I think what I said last night on locker room was, Danny made this Fournier move to see what if this team is good enough, fully healthy, to bring it back next year, right? And to fork over the cash, or Wick, I should say, to fork over the cash to pay the tax. But if you can't see them all on the court at the same time, then how the hell do you know? Shaq's tryout season. Thank you, Dudley. Dudley was on the show last night. Was on the locker room show. Good time to pump our locker room show tonight, John. That was your
We
cue.
will. I'll get to it in a minute. Finish your point.
Jimmy.
That's my point, though. I mean, my point is this. I mean, they've had shit luck all year with injuries and COVID and all this stuff. Danny brings in Fournier and says, "All right, guys, here's the missing piece, quote unquote, to see if you guys have what it takes. And oh, by the way, Wick's watching, and if you do well, he might bring you guys all back next year. If you don't, well, we might have to make some roster moves to stay under this, luxury tax and all this other crap that bad teams have to stay under because they're not good enough to win either way." So that's what I think the rest of the season is. And if you can't put a full roster out there, full starting lineup out there to see what you've got, then you haven't really proven anything.
Isn't it frustrating, too, that the Nets have raced ahead of the Celtics when it comes to team building? The amount of shrewd moves that they've made with no picks available to them, no hope after that KG Pierce trade and the way that bottom fell out through them. And then over the last 3-4 years, they have just shot ahead. And it's not just Irving and Durant arriving. The Jeff Green signing, the Celtics haven't had anything like that. Getting Joe Harris, one of those underrated guys who didn't work in Cleveland, and making him what he is here. I even think the coaching staff that they have is impressive. Like D'Antoni on the bench, Vaughn in there working with the defense, Stoudemire in there to be a voice with the players.
Kyrie on the
I was going to say, Bobby, but we've seen this
Kyrie
before.
The coach.
That's happened so many times when we see one of these super teams put together, right? I mean,
I believe in this one though.
But when you put together, when you have those two big pieces, you're gonna get the James Posey to come over, or
that's true.
The other free agents are gonna say, "Oh, those guys are looking good over there. Sure, I'll take short money to join that team." It's interesting because when the James Harden, before the trade actually happened, obviously there were rumors out there. Obviously the Celtics were mentioned. Jaylen Brown is a big piece that would have to be part of that for the Celtics to make that happen. And you look back on it, and I'm not saying you wonder what could have been if the Celtics made that deal, but you wonder why, if you're Danny Ainge, you had to at least consider it, right? Because that's what this league is. Like you see teams like this every 5 years or so form. They go for their run, and you see if they could keep it together, or
let's talk about it.
Or restart.
How you feel about it
match
now?
up with a team like that? That's what I'm getting at, Bobby. Let me get there. How are the Celtics going to match up with those juggernaut squads? Can they match up with those juggernaut squads, at least for this season and next season, while Kemba Walker's still on the books, and while things are obviously tight with the salary?
They don't. They can't match up with those teams.
We lost Sherrod. I thought he was just
don't exist.
Thought.
That's a dope
He's
picture.
Back. He's back.
Oh, he's back. Sherrod, what was that?
That was a dope little picture.
You froze for a split second.
And another split second.
More split seconds.
The first headshot was better.
How many players? How's that?
I don't know if he's joking.
Okay.
I'm messing with.
We're getting a few words.
No, but listen, they simply don't exist with this roster.
Shit.
They don't have the players.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem. That's a huge problem. That's why they're not going to be able to make that with the Brooklyns and of the Eastern Conference.
I think what Joe Sway was saying was you acquire Harden, but you also, in doing so, you prevent a super team from forming like one did in Brooklyn that you just can't beat, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you don't want to give up. Ideally, you don't want to give up a Jaylen Brown player, which, listen, that would have been a tough decision. And I'm not saying they should have made it, but it's also blocking, another team that's already has Kyrie and Durant from going from a great team to a super team. So I know that they aren't healthy right now, but they're still expected to be healthy for the playoff run, and I'm sure that's what this is all about. If you're the Nets and Harden's, why rush them back? Like they're They're pretty confident in what they have. They're probably not too worried about matchups if they consider themselves the best team in the East anyway. So why rush them back and who cares? It doesn't mean anything. It means a lot more to the Celtics to get healthy because they've played like crap for most of the season. They need to get healthy and play well together and show that they can actually, make a run. They haven't been able to show that. I mean, the last couple of weeks have been fine. It's been fun to watch. They've been playing well, but you have to sustain that. Any team in the NBA can go on a little winning streak, but some of these wins that they're getting aren't going to be the same teams that they're going to see in the playoffs in May.
Well, what's important here too to consider is there are only 12 games left, and beyond this just being the kind of game where you wish the Celtics could step up to the plate with a team like that, all these games are starting to matter a ton when it comes to avoiding that play-in. And still, they're only 1.5 games up on the Heat. There's only 12 games left. They got a series with Miami coming up in a week or two now. It's getting even tricky here with seeding. Like every game you drop here, you can end up regretting down the line. And at some point, we have to talk about too, do you start pushing Kemba into some back-to-backs down the stretch here? Some people talked about that tonight being a possibility. I know you have to balance health and the seeding, but you really can't fall into that play-in tournament now. It doesn't feel like this team will. It feels like they'll have enough healthy games down the stretch here, and they have the easiest schedule left and all that stuff. But there are a couple of back-to-backs down the stretch of this year that you look at and say, by that time, you might have to push Kemba in those. You might have to push some guys who are kind of on the edge health-wise. They want to steal some rest for Tatum here, Brad was talking about before this
They're not going to do it. I mean, they're not going to push.
I agree with that. I don't think you force the issue here. I don't think you force Kemba to do something that he's not going to have to do in the postseason. It's like, why force him through those reps when you can obviously try to prolong him? Because if you want to see the Celtics make a deep playoff run, it takes a while, right? You're going to be playing deep into June, so you have to take all that into consideration. You don't want him to be wiped.
I know, but one game and you could be done.
Right. Or
and one back-to-back, and Kemba could be done.
You'll overheat him, You don't want to overheat him. You don't want him to crash. So, yeah.
They are in a tough position right now.
I think Pritchard's in a big spot here, and I don't know. Maybe is that what it is? Maybe that's what it is. Sherrod, is that why Brad's not playing him so much? Like, is he in too much of a tough spot where it's like, if you overload him, he'll break? Is Brad afraid of that? I don't get why he.
Well, we've seen it, haven't we?
Well, that's his inclination. I mean, that's Brad's almost default mechanism. Look at Rob Williams. He plays great, limited role, then he doesn't play innings more than that. Like same thing with Pritchard.
Right.
Yeah, it's like stints.
Yeah,
like he teases.
But Pritchard is going to have to play a more prominent role, I think, down the stretch here, just simply to make sure Kemba's preserved for the playoffs. You have to do it.
Yeah, I don't get it.
But wait. So, what about if you get down the wire here and you're like Bobby said, and he's no longer with us? Pray for Bobby. You don't want to end up in that play-in game. You don't want to end up in any of those play-in games, do you? I mean, ideally, you want to avoid that.
But Jimmy, which is better, to end up in a play-in game with a team that's relatively healthy, or end up as the 5th or 6th seed when you don't have Kemba?
Right. No, I want them to be healthy, but I mean, you're assuming that Kemba's going to get hurt playing, a back-to-back, which
I'm assuming there's a greater risk of that happening if he plays back-to-back. Yes, I'm assuming that. Yeah,
I just don't get the logic behind making him do something that he's never going to have to do in the next month or so in the post.
Right.
Like not even close.
Just to get the win, just to avoid the play-in game. I mean, I think you should try to.
But you have the Celtics have a favorable schedule.
I know, but it doesn't matter. If they go into any game with this roster right now, no Brown, no Kemba, and no Rob, they're losing to everybody. Like they can't even beat Chicago right now with this group.
I'll take a rested Kemba Walker heading into that playing game than one that's been playing in back-to-backs.
Yeah, they're both bad scenarios because play-in game, you're looking at anybody's got a puncher's chance to beat you. A team gets hot, and you have one of these shitty ice cold games.
And you play Brooklyn or Philly,
and then you're going into Brooklyn or Philly, so you're dead there. You're dead, I think you got to fight to get to 5, but. I don't know what it's going to take. Let's let the cat out of the bag here on the secret. With what we have coming up here. Oh, hold on one second. We've got some problems here. Locker room after the game, right?
Secret
Everybody
revealed.
Wants to be here. Everyone's going to join us, right?
Everyone's going to join. Every single person.
Okay, well, our special guest that we messed around with you, of course, we revealed it earlier today, is Kendrick Perkins. Perk is joining us on the Locker Room app. Big Perk is joining us on the Locker Room app to chat with you guys, okay? This is really a treat. So absolutely
we're going to shut up and we're going to let Perk run the show.
If you haven't,
he's gonna be mad too.
John won't.
He's gonna be so pissed.
Yeah,
he's gonna diagnose some issues.
And yes, we know many of you knew. You guys are freaking geniuses.
Yeah,
I know. Okay, but no. Joking aside, this is an awesome guest. So jump in, hang out with us, ask. Load up questions for Perk. He's gonna He'll say anything on TV. What do you think he's going to say on the Locker Room app?
Uncensored Perk. Right.
Okay. Uncensored, unfiltered Perk here. He's going to join us. We're going to go over there. He's going to spend some time with us on Locker Room. We hope you do too. So again, download on the iOS store. Sign up for it. We're going to put the link to the show in the chat. We're going to go over there maybe 15, 20 minutes from now, and we're going to start chatting with Perk. Other guys will join us, and we'll kind of keep it going. I know there's a lot of people pissed off right now. There's a lot of fire. There's a lot of – what's funny? Normally I sense anger after losses. Today I feel like resignation and a little bit of depression. People are bummed right now. This is – crappy. This game really had just a crappy vibe here. Jimmy, can we bring you back, buddy?
I feel like there's some adult beverages in order for this game, for Locker Room.
Yeah, at least for the Locker Room, right? Okay. Yeah, we're on the same page.
I'm looking at the stash and
what you got? You got something tucked? You got something tucked for this kind of night? You got something?
I do.
What I miss? Snack talk?
This is a Jack Daniels kind of.
Oh man,
night.
Bringing out Jack.
Ooh, yeah.
Bring out J-Mo.
I have
J-Mo around here somewhere.
I have a great wine lined up. I've been preparing all week.
Bobby's been thinking about
Bobby's got a rosé and a turkey burger ready to go.
Bobby's like, win or lose, I was gonna open this bottle tonight. So yeah, let's go.
Either way it goes.
No,
any smart thoughts tonight? That one was on my mind as well. Marcus
it was
Smart's
a bit
game.
of a classic Marcus Smart game, right? Like a whole bunch of shit, and then he played his way back into there's Marcus doing stuff.
Yeah. Feels like he narrowly avoided the blame game tonight with that second quarter push and then some of the second half stuff he did. But the first quarter, especially after they got off to that nice start, the missed layup that went back for the Harris three, the looseness with the ball that he showed in his own right, some of the missed shots at the rim.
The freaking pass at the end.
The pass, which is the only thing I can remember.
And again, blaming the guys on the bench. Just like after the half-court shot.
If you saw the replay, for him. If you saw the replay, he said it with a smile on his face, and then he goes and laughing. Okay, so he was kind of like, initially everyone gave him shit for blaming the guys.
Tristan Thompson was like, "Are you serious?"
No, he was like, I'm just kidding.
He was just frustrated. Come on,
he yelled through his mask. It came off.
No, and I know Scal pointed out too, and it was a good observation by him that Fournier should have been there. Fournier was just kind of floating in nowhere where he couldn't make a play. And again, you hit on it, John. Fournier just didn't do anything tonight.
Another 0 for 7.
You're just gonna tack that onto Fournier. Oh man.
They passed 3 open shots up on that possession. Just so Smart could throw it to the bench.
Definitely famine tonight.
And they were so close at that point too.
Yeah.
Any interesting quotes come out that we know about? Anybody saying anything?
I'm sure they said the regular season doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So let's talk about it a little bit. We don't want to spend all the time in the world on the lesser people, because here's the thing, it's not supposed to matter.
Are you sure? That's kind of the theme of the show.
It is, but look, I'm saying it's not supposed to matter, because ultimately, with a healthy lineup, if you ever get it, you're not going to be spending any time talking about Semi or Romeo or Neismith, because they're not going to play. If they are, it's going to be 5 minutes just to spell somebody situationally, and that's it. We talked about this last game too. If they ever get healthy, we're not going to sit here and have entire shows where we're just crapping on the bottom 5 guys on the roster that honestly aren't even bottom 5 guys. These are guys who under normal circumstances wouldn't even be active for games, some of these guys, and they're playing actual minutes. But the Romeo thing was the most depressing development of the entire night to me, because again, not just the negative impact. I mean, he started the second half and was benched 35 seconds into it. Okay, that's bad. Okay, that's as mad as you're gonna. That's as reactionary as I've ever seen Brad be.
You really pissed him off.
I'm starting you in the second half, and then it was foul, out of position, whatever. It was 2 bad plays on the defensive end, and he was like, gone. 30 at the 11:25 mark, gone. That is really rare for Brad, especially for a guy who had kind of made it into his little circle of trust. He played him 32 minutes the other day, and he was like, nope, off the floor now.
That's when Carson Edwards started rubbing his hands. It's like,
but he put Neismith right in then and there. He's like, nope, you're so bad right now. I'm going to play Neismith. Okay, there it is. Right to start the third quarter. That was a message.
Because you had to start with better focus, right? I mean, you come out of halftime like that, and we've been saying this all year long, how that third quarter has been so important for this team, and we saw the bad third quarter of Celtics this time around.
Yeah, it's not even so much about how they execute, but it's the effort. I mean, I think that's the thing that Brad is really just frustrated by. There just be too many periods where guys just aren't playing as hard as they should, and that gets him to a lot of trouble, night in and night out.
Yeah, ball controls effort to some degree. We say that about defense all the time, but lazy exchanges, focus, and being on the same page as your teammates in particular is to a large degree effort, and it's something they miss night in and night out. When you think of the way Brooklyn got going with the transition game in this one and how many opportunities Boston missed off turnovers, that was a game right there, and they've had quite a few this season as a whole where that has allowed the other team to just overtake them in an easy way. How easy were so many of those runouts for Brooklyn in this one, especially for Bruce Brown when he really got going. They were just walking to the other rim. And again, I keep hitting on this. 0 for Boston. Can you make it any harder on yourself to have 0 fast break points?
That was something. The fast break situation was unbelievable.
Again, this is their season.
It's crazy. I mean, it's not
so sad too because you're sitting there and Brad's like, screaming, run, and they're just like, like
that's where they tune
no
him
joke.
out.
Jayson Tatum is an 8-second violation waiting to happen every friggin' time he gets the ball in the backcourt. In fact, I think he gets away with about 4 of them a game. Like they are the opposite of pace. Like there's just nothing going on there. But the 32 points that they flashed a stat there. That was the most. What was it? Most the Celtics have allowed since 2013.
Remember pace and space? They used to, I don't know if you ever saw this, Sherrod, in their locker room. They had like a sign that said pace and space.
Yeah.
That probably has been taken down at this point, just in resignation.
I'm seeing 3 fast break points on my score app for the Celtics.
Oh, you got 3?
I got 32-3. So
they gave him 3. Okay.
Still
All right,
pretty
that's
pathetic. Good. Still pretty pathetic. Don't get me wrong.
Maybe it was that Grant 3 in the corner.
Maybe.
Was that in transition?
I mean, look
the
at
one,
the Nets.
The one after he bummed the layup? I think
it wasn't like the Nets shot lights out and like prevented the Celtics from moving the ball. I mean, they shot 43% from the field, 34% from 3. I couldn't tell you why the Celtics just couldn't get out on the break, as a normal, like on a normal night they would. I mean, especially when there's such a difference. You see the other team doing it, it should like snap you out of it and be like, hey, we get to, fight fire with fire a little bit here. Play the similar style here. And again, just lackluster. And I don't know if it's if it's just the players, it's the second unit. I don't know if they're all tired because it's the second night of a back-to-back and all that crap. I don't know. I mean, it was certainly disappointing to watch for a majority of the game. But just huge discrepancy there. That's the difference in the game for sure. I mean, that's the wild stat. 32 fast break points allowed. And to counter that with 3 at most. For the sake of this show, we'll just keep saying 0.
0.
Because it felt like 0. Yeah, they got 0 fast break points.
None when they counted.
Yeah.
When you're outscored by 29 points, 3-0 doesn't matter. You suck.
It matters none. Yeah, you sucked.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
They average 112 points a game, 114 per 100. So if you're not running, you're leaving basically 2 points off the board. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's pretty significant when it comes to the aggregate on the season to be leaving 2 points on the board because you're never getting on the move. They only average 98 possessions a game, which is way below average. You just leave so much easy offense when you're not doing that. It's like the opposite of those Isaiah years. That team had a tough time in the half court because they were so small. So what they do, they just burst up the floor all the time to get out ahead of things. You can get some easy 3-point looks that way. You can get some fouls. It's just like basketball 101. Leaving that outside of your attack is mind-blowing.
There's a lot of mind-blowing things, but it's just that I just keep going back to this was just a sackless game. You know, like they just, it really is. At the end of the day, Kyrie clearly had no intention of trying to win this game today. He was like, my boys are out. We're just going to mail this one in. I don't care if we get run out of the building. I'm good playing a half, and that'll be it. Brooklyn didn't give a crap if they won this game tonight or not. They're just,
their role guys did though.
Yeah, they were willing to lay there and take it. I mean, this game was just, if you want it, it's yours. And they absolutely
lay there and take it. Wow.
Absolutely no sack at all. It's so disappointing to see it.
That's the way I saw it with that second unit. Like Brooklyn's second unit, it was like they were ecstatic for this game. And that's the way your second unit should be. It doesn't matter who's playing, who's not playing. I'm going to do my job, do my role, and I'm going to do it well and fulfill it against the Celtics team. And through the first half, pretty much, they can already sense the energy. They can sense the energy out of the Celtics. They're like, man, we could really run these guys in the second half. And they did. You know, Joe Harris was probably the best example.
I love Joe Harris.
As Kyrie
Me
Irving,
too.
I like him too. As Kyrie Irving,
I would like a Joe Harris. Yeah,
he was ice cold
Sparky.
offensively.
I think
had
he's
4
the most-
steals, getting stuff done on the defensive end, but you got to take advantage of things when the Kyrie Irving's ice cold. You got Jayson Tatum out there.
I think he's the most underrated player in the league. You think about a guy who shoots the volume he does,
Harris?
48% from 3, yeah. And he can finish in the lane. He can dribble a little bit.
Well, he's more than a
when
shooter.
when you think about this team being fully healthy and then him having like the 5th most attention paid to him on the defensive side of the floor, it's going to be just shooting practice for him.
Let me ask a question. So we've seen it. We've tried to do this dance. Okay, everyone's got their guys. Okay, Bobby's got Durant and Cornett. You know, I guess I'll claim Romeo. You know, like
Neismith.
Like, you'll claim
I tried Neismith for a while.
You
Apparently,
have
I'm
to
the
have
Neismith hater. Now, what I'm saying is, we all have our guys we want to see play some. Pritchard, I think we're all in agreement. Maybe there's a semi guy out there too. I'm not sure. But
I've driven that train a few times.
You have. You've tried it. You've tried everything, Bobby.
Last year, I was big on Shemmer.
But for real, let me ask you a question.
I'm trying to think who I'm hitching my wagon
I like
to,
it for the Buck series. To be honest.
Yeah. But if you watch,
you're the Rob guy, Jimmy.
Watching this team outside of the 7 or 8, okay, we'll call it the starting 5 plus Tristan plus Pritchard plus Fournier, even though a couple of them, whatever. That's your 8. We're putting Pritchard in.
Jimmy likes Taco. That's his.
We're putting Pritchard in there. Who else deserves a single minute? Rank them. Who else are you
deserves?
Who else are you giving any time to and feeling okay about it? Assuming there's health and you have the 8, Jabari. Okay,
that's because the Jabari is the one guy on the
bench who can do something. Who has a skill?
Has one discernible skill that can help you. It's not going to help you every game, but it exists there. The rest of them, I have no idea what the hell I'm getting.
I would agree. I'm not saying I don't think he deserves it. He hasn't done anything to deserve it. But for the simple fact of what Sherrod said, you can put him in there and you expect him to do a specific thing. Whereas, like, you can go down the line. Shemi,
I'm worried about him too.
Langford, Neismith, these guys, they all do the same. Oh, Grant, they all do like similarly nothing.
The same amount of nothing.
Yeah, right.
No,
when they do something exceptional,
you need a few fouls.
Right.
Yeah,
when they do something really, really exceptional, you're like, wow, he did that. If Jabari goes out there and scores 15, 20 points, is anyone going to be really surprised? Hell no. That's kind of who he is.
I think I'd be surprised only because it's been so long, but that's who he should be. Put it that way. I mean, he needs to play in order to get it back. So
yeah, Jabari is in there.
Still Pritchard. I don't know. Call me crazy, but I like the rookie.
Pritchard's in.
Pritchard's in. You don't get to pick him.
He's in the cool kids club.
He's in. I put him in the circle of trust.
Kemba. Yeah, he's got a.
He's in the circle of trust.
Yeah. He can be out very quickly, but he's in right now.
No, nobody should be in it if we're narrowing it down to the
it.
rotation.
But that's it. So
And you didn't even have that guy, a week ago. That's how bad things are.
But Mike James, well, for the sake of all of our collective blood pressure, I think we have to just stop getting angry at Romeo and Semi and Grant, and so do the commenters. Guys, just purge yourselves of the Grant hatred. It will get you nowhere. Okay.
I don't know though, because
like
what are the odds?
No,
what are the odds
I
this
think
team
it's
people
will be
hard
fully
lie.
to
healthy?
lead the shows with those guys every game.
I know.
Yo, someone.
What
on
I'm
Twitter
saying
said,
is, you're
someone on
not
Twitter
supposed
said
to count on them.
Yabusele's better. I was like, oh, come on, y'all.
We said this during the Bulls game. It's a good thing Danny got put on the podium while all of those guys were taking full front stage view in front of him in that Chicago game when so many other guys were out too. He had to see all those picks he made and just see how it's going in year 2.
Scal was saying shit in the commercials, like looking at him like.
I'll ask the commenters, will your lives be measurably better if they cut Grant tomorrow?
Let's post some responses.
No.
Okay.
No, because then you got another hole in the.
They're like, yes, actually.
Yeah,
Because
Grant's not going anywhere.
You
Grant's
almost
not
need
going
someone
anywhere.
to hate, right? Like Grant makes you feel better about this, right? Because you have somebody to just place it to just unload on, right?
This is what I say about all the players that people love to hate. It's
The
like you're gonna
question
miss them
was-
when they're gone.
The question was, will you feel better? Okay.
Yeah, I figured
Yes.
we'd get some of those.
Wow.
Yes,
It's like
everyone's saying yes.
85-15 breakdown here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, make that 88.
Will you feel better? Yes.
I wouldn't feel better.
I've seen-
I would definitely not
two
feel better
no's.
about that.
Gotta be somebody who says no.
I've literally seen 2 no's.
I would be a third no.
F no. That's another one.
I want Grant around.
That's the thing is, like, I feel like maybe
Someone said Grant should go back to
Grant's
Harvard. Yeah.
expected or asked to do too much, because of the lack of depth on this team,
But not only
We
that,
shouldn't-
they've decided that they're going to go on the cheaper end of things with this roster. And we've talked about the ideology that got them here. Pick a bunch of guys who are very low money-wise, stay below that tax line, and just hope some of these guys improve. And very few of them have. So you're in a place now where you're right up against that tax line. And if they want to cut a Grant, they'll suddenly have to pay tax to do so. Think of how much they had to do to bring Parker in here. They had to dump Tice's money. They had to get some other guys who were a little more flexible to let go. And then they let go of one ultimately to get him in the door. So ultimately, like this whole thing we've been talking about back to Hayward, 4 second-round picks, a TPE, everything they've had to do to just improve this roster marginally with Fournier and Parker. It costs a ton just because they don't want to cross that tax line. And it might be a good decision, but it has made them pay quite a bit in other things to at least show some depth here because the picking has been so bad. You just keep going back to those drafts. It has pressured their roster building in such a dramatic way.
Yeah. No question.
Facts.
But Bobby, you can't say this roster. I mean, again, we could talk about health and all that, but we've seen them put it together. It's just, I think that's why Celtics fans are so frustrating.
It's when the good guys are available, though.
They're so frustrated tonight. Yeah, but even in a game like tonight, we knew Fournier was going to be a little rusty, but I mean, for the most part, the team that won those 8 of the last 9, was there outside of Kemba and Jaylen. I don't know. We've seen this team put together wins with less, this season.
Yeah, but not against teams. Even with a modified Brooklyn team, the one thing that we've all agree on is that their role players are better than the Celtics role players.
Yeah,
they play harder. And we're not talking about
top to bottom.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. How many guys, in all seriousness, of the circle of trust that we talked about, outside of that, how many guys would even be on the Brooklyn Nets roster right now?
I don't even think some of the circle of trust guys would be on there. I
Seriously.
don't.
yeah.
I don't.
No, the Nets are so good, and they had to give up a little bit to get Harden.
I don't think Parker makes that team. They could have had him if they wanted him. Parker's not on that team.
I'm agreeing with
Yeah,
that.
nobody.
Yeah.
Pritchard, if he's there, he's playing a minute. He's taco time. Like bring in the little fella. He's not playing real time.
He's probably in the G League.
Let's just look at this Nets roster, and I bring it back to Jared Allen, fantastic pick, as well as Karis LeVert, fantastic pick. But you go this isn't all about Kyrie and Durant going there and some veterans following. Bruce Brown, shrewd trade. Wow, that's like a second draft kind of thing that John talks about all the time. They found him and worked him into things.
Dinwiddie.
Tyler Johnson, Dinwiddie. Like they have just hit home run after home run when it comes to those small moves, role players, building a team. And so this is why I think this group's going to win it all. Like their depth has gone so underrated. Their ability to have guys, as Joe Sway said, who know their roles and do it extremely well. Sean Marks, their GM, has been brilliant, as good as it's come in recent years. I know Rob Pelinka gets a lot of credit out there in LA for some of the stuff he's done, but I think they've done an even better job in Brooklyn putting this together. Like there's no weaknesses there, really. I know they slip a little bit defensively, but you see they're able to stand up and harden on that end too when they need to. And they did it tonight. Like they did a great defensive job, I thought, against Boston. So I've been high on this team from the start. They've gotten better. I think they're going to win the East. And I give them a real shot to win it all. I just love the pieces they have. And even if one guy gets hurt, I know injuries are the big concern.
You're going out on a limb, Bobby. You think Brooklyn's got a chance?
Well, I mean,
they got a real chance.
You guys were doubting that. I can pull the tapes on
we
that
were
one.
like in friggin' before the first
like
preseason
November.
game. The second I watched Kevin Durant play,
Harden.
as soon as we watched Kevin Durant play, I was like, "Oh my God, these guys are good." Then they got Harden,
like,
and we're
Durant
like,
fully
"Maybe
recovered.
Harden will be bad for them." And then we watched a couple games with Harden, and we were like, "Oh God, it's over." Like, this thing's been over for a while.
Yeah,
you know, it really only injuries stop them. And I don't care about I don't care about Philly. Fully healthy Brooklyn team runs them. Absolutely runs them.
Yeah. Definitely.
You know, I mean, they were down 2 stars and they played them neck and neck last week. You know, with fully healthy, they absolutely run them. I don't even think it's going to be close. So that's what
we said at the trade deadline. Like, why are you going to make a major trade when you're still not going to be even close to sniffing the Nets this season? Like, why would Danny consider making some irrational panic move trade that would, try to win now?
That's the whole Celtics existence, Jimmy. You had why win now with LeBron still in the East, or why even make a move now with Golden State winning 5 straight titles? Like, there's always an impediment. Put the best team you have out there and have a puncher's chance at winning. Right now, the Celtics just don't. I mean,
in the offseason, I agree, but I wouldn't have done it at the deadline, and they didn't.
No, but you got to do it when it's available. And at this point, Ball was there, possibly Collins was there if you got very aggressive. At some point, and this is what I said at the beginning of the show, you got to blow up this bench, bring in some real veterans, guys who are reliable, and that's going to cost serious amounts of picks. It's going to hurt. They're just going to have to do it at some point because they don't have flexibility in other ways. I don't think that their response to this can be, let's draft some more guys. Let's bring in some more rookies and see if that works. That cannot be their approach this offseason. They have to get brutally aggressive with their future picks. I don't want to even think about this team draft in the next 2 years.
That's just crazy.
I hate to break it to you, Bobby. It's going to happen.
I know.
Yeah.
You know it. You know it.
Again, we keep having the same freaking conversation. If they can't package multiple picks in the middle of the draft or low in the draft to move up a spot or two, why in the world are they going to be able to trade these things for a real player? It's why.
Right.
What are we talking about
that's
here?
Why you have to trade a bunch of them.
Again, the reason I'm not pro picks, I'm basically saying their picks are useless. So you get a better shot to hit a home run with one of them than you do to convert 2 picks into a real player. It's picks plus players.
We just don't know though because they haven't tried.
The problem is they don't have the plus players portion of the deal.
Please don't do this, guys. Don't do this again.
It's the same thing. It's the same conversation.
We've had this so many times.
Everybody wants players. They don't have them.
No, but John, I mean, you're looking at this from a perspective of they have tried to put all this on the table and it hasn't gotten them anywhere. We know from how they've approached this with the past picks that we all agree they should have used to get some real players in here. That's just sunk cost at this point, that the approach was wrong through those years. They were hoping for more home runs, as you talk about, some luck in the lottery, and they didn't get it. When they had chances to flip, let's say as many as 7 picks through the last 2 seasons, first-round picks, in the real things. And what did they do with them? They used them to dump salary. They used them to pick players that ended up not mattering. They moved back to pick Grant Williams. They have done some absurd things with these picks when they could have thrown them all together and gotten a serious upgrade at one point. So like you keep holding on to these, and then you get to draft night, and you're like, oh, what do we do with it? We're picking 14th, and we can't move up because guys know it's 14th at this point. You have to do it ahead of time, and that's another reason I was pushing for stuff to happen at the deadline. Like they can't just keep making that mistake over and over again.
So
Or
guys,
can they?
You two will never agree on the value of those picks. Like that's it. That's the problem. Like there's no like you guys are not going to be on the same.
if
page.
only you had an opinion you could share.
You know my opinion, John. Nobody wants those damn picks, man. Like that's the thing.
All right, then jump in there. Don't be neutral. Everyone's got to like Josue.
No.
No.
I'm saying the point is, if it was that simple, Danny
Lay it
would've
on the
pulled
line.
off.
Look at you guys disagreeing.
Lay it on the
would've
line.
pulled
Have
it
some
off
commenters hate you for once. It's cleansing.
Yo, it's
Yeah, you'll
like
feel good. Trust me.
we've been down this
Jimmy
road
knows.
so many damn
I
times.
know all too well.
You know,
Yes,
like
we
I
have.
know.
Lonzo Ball.
That's my
like,
point.
You think a stack of a bag full of
Okay.
20 and 22 picks or whatever the freak it, well, whatever the best case scenario is what the 14th pick. You think that's gonna get it done to get someone like Lonzo Ball?
So guys,
What,
I'm
70?
wrapping this. Hold on, I'm putting a timeout. I'm gonna let Josue
This is why I don't want to
disagree with Bobby on the post-game show.
Get me riled up.
Kendrick Perkins is in the room. He's in the house. He's in there
He's
right
here.
now. Okay, he's actually in locker room at this moment. So we're going to run over there right now. We're going to start chatting with him. I do want people to hang here for a little while longer if you want to listen to the draft picks debate.
They're not gonna listen to us if Perk's on the other side.
Doesn't matter. You guys hang for a few minutes and then wrap this up. Send everybody else over.
All right,
Guys,
see ya.
Sherrod, head
Very
over.
brief.
Go. Get out of here, Boomer.
Recent setbacks.
I'm already
No,
here.
you're listening to Nick. I don't want to hear him.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
I can hear. I hear Nick.
Yeah, Nick's gonna scare Perk off. John, get over there.
Where's
Nick's gonna
Bob?
scare
Why does
Perk
Bobby leave every time I say I'm leaving?
off. Because he like tries to switch over. This happened to me last
You're right.
night. It
Every
was just
time.
me
What is
staring
he
at myself.
doing? Be prepared, Bobby. Okay,
The
every
last
time I
time-
leave, you
Last
friggin'
time I was
leave.
by myself, and luckily, John, if you didn't catch it, you would have just left too, and you didn't realize it.
I left Jimmy last time. I gotta get
Yo, I'm
together.
pulling up
here.
the locker room app as we speak. Here it is. Celtics Nets OT with Perk. There it is. And there's
All right,
Kendrick Perkins.
bye.
See it
All
right
right.
there.
We won't be long.
We already
Sounds
have
funny.
78 people on. There's Sherrod's on. There's
Yo,
Perk.
by the time we
Big
wrap
Perk.
up here, it's gonna double.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
How did Perk already get the check mark? I haven't even gotten my check mark yet, and I've been doing this damn
Oh,
locker room
come
show
on.
for
Don't
weeks.
complain about Perk having
Here
the
we
He
go.
check
just
mark over
signed
here.
on. Get me
Yo,
off
he
this
is
stupid
He's Kendrick
view.
Perkins.
champion. All right, Jimmy, he got that check.
Oh
all
my
right?
lord. I asked my cousin. My cousin's probably what? He was born in like 03. He didn't know who Perkins was. I couldn't believe it.
No, your
'Cause
cousin's
what, he
got
was
problems.
probably 5 when they won the championship,
Yeah,
He's
I was
and
got
then
gonna
some
say.
problems.
But still, 2010,
Like-
2011, he was still with the Celtics.
yeah,
me
so
off
he was
this
like
view.
eight. They traded him. Jimmy hates this view. All right,
Thank you.
few rapid
I
fire
was waiting
questions,
for him
and
to
we
say
are
something.
out of here. We are not
Yeah.
hanging out long with
We got
Perkins
some
in
questions
the room.
that came in, or what?
Let's see.
I got a question, Bob. What was that awful Twitter video that you posted of you earlier, man? Like rah rah Cisco and Bada the Celtics earlier today.
I didn't know what you
totally
were talking about for a
backfired.
second.
That was totally,
I know.
totally backfired.
No, and it wasn't a prediction. It was just like, hey guys, I'm gonna try to pump you up a little bit. Like I'm excited about this game. Can we get into
Yeah, but
this?
then I think you pumped yourself up about it, and you were like,
Yeah,
you
I
know
don't
what
know.
even pumped
And-
anybody up.
If the Celtics won, Jimmy wouldn't be saying this. That's the thing. It would have been
Yeah.
perfect.
It was
Celtics ruined
tough.
it by not winning.
What do we got, Bob? Anything?
I'm not seeing questions, but I haven't called for them either. So fire away, guys. We'll
Guys,
take
shoot
some
some
rapid
questions.
I
fire
want
ones.
some perk
If you
questions.
got an
For people who
Android-
can't-
Oh,
can't
that's a
make
good
it.
one. Yeah. All right. So if you are an Android user and you can't get in the room,
And you've never
Fire
been in a
your
group text
questions.
in your life. You've never had a group of friends in a blue group text. So you don't even know what like real friendship is. If you're one of those people, send us some questions here since you can't jump on the. Hopefully, the locker room app will get the Android pumping soon. I don't know what
They
the
better.
I don't have any locker room connects, so I don't know
Yo,
what
not
the
a
deal
lot.
is there.
Not a lot. Good amount.
are you worried
worried.
about Time Lord? We don't have to get too deep into it, but
I mean,
I
A little
am.
bit.
I'm
Little bit.
slightly concerned. I'm slightly concerned. Whoever is vibrating, get it off the damn desk. Probably Bobby.
So no, it's not me. So the condition, I looked this
Might be
up, and
me.
I think I sent it to you guys last night. The condition
Yeah.
that we've talked about over and over again, draft night, that made him fall back, or one of the reasons he fell back, was blood flow behind the knee. Like, that was the specific issue he had. And now he's dealing with inflammation behind the knee. So that worries me for sure. I can't say too much beyond that, but the fact that it's related.
We need a doctor on the show to let us know if the two are connected.
John
No, I'm
does
with
his
you.
best.
It's concerning because obviously we know his history and we know what this team looks like, and it's been I don't know, hasn't been too long, but it's uncomfortable because we know that they could have really used him against this Nets team. And the difference
You traded Tice to give him a lot more minutes. So now if you're without
Tice
both,
was gone.
Like the reason he's ascended this season is because of what he does on defense, the switching. That's what they needed tonight. You know, someone to man in the middle, or at least just intimidating those shooters out there. They were so comfortable.
Passing, lobs, a guy to play with Jordan.
And
I thought Jordan,
pass, right?
Yeah, I thought DeAndre Jordan kind of took it to the Celtics at times in this one. You see that mean block he laid on Pritchard?
He was
Thompson tried to go at him twice early.
He was bully balling a little bit. I feel like he was trying to push people around.
We're all concerned about Rob. You got next question.
Are you worried about Jaylen?
Oh, jeez. This sums up this season. It's just, are you worried about X, Y? We could substitute Jaylen with Kemba.
Are you worried
We could
about
substitute
Jaylen?
it with Smart. Like, all these guys have missed. I mean, Tatum. All these guys have missed time this season. That's why the season sucks. I'm worried about Jaylen Brown, slightly, but not crazy amount, I guess. But maybe I should be. I don't know.
Have you guys ever even heard of that? I had to Google that shit.
Bursitis?
Yeah, bursitis.
I had it in my knee when I was training for the marathon.
I've never heard of bursitis.
Well, Bobby, then you can explain it then.
No, it wasn't my shoulder.
Oh, right.
So when I had it in my knee, it was kind of like
inflammation.
It was just like a sharp pain every time I ran. So like I just really could. So I'm sure like the usage in the elbow just isn't there right now, but I don't think it's a concern.
No, I don't really get concerned with like upper body issues.
He worked out again before this game too. He made the trip. So I'm not concerned about Jaylen.
No, me neither. I flipped my answer.
All right, let's keep going down the line. Are you worried about Neismith?
Like that he's a total bust?
He's not even hurt.
Yeah, I know.
These are all different people.
That's like the ultimate. That's like the ultimate slap in the face. Like just assuming a guy is hurt because he looks so bad. He's like he's got to be hurt. Like there's no way he's healthy playing like this. I'm actually not concerned about Neismith. It's way, way, way too early, and there's too little of a sample size for me to be worried about Neismith. I think, and I've said it on the show 100 times. I think he needs there's that vibration again. He needs a full off season.
I don't think he needs me. Yeah, that's not me.
Bro, it's literally one of you two because my phone's right here. Somebody's vibrating.
That's you, Jimmy. Come on,
Bobby.
Man.
It's not, dude. My phone's on my lap. Something's vibrating, and I know everyone can hear it. I think Neismith, like every rookie, has been screwed this season. Obviously, he had no off season leading up to this season. He's had really not much practice at all. He's just kind of been thrown into the fire here, and I don't think he was ready. He wasn't NBA ready. He needed an offseason. He needed Maine drastically, and I think he'll get both those two things after this season. I think he has a full offseason, gets his workout in, stays with the organization, and then next season, if everything's hopefully back to normal and the Red Claws are doing their thing, I think he can get a lot of good reps up there. So I'm not worried about him yet. I think he can contribute at some point.
All right,
you don't just lose your shot.
We got to go talk to Perk.
Yo, Tice is doing well in Chicago. He looks mad happy, too.
Let's do one more question.
All right. One more quick one.
And if you guys are still here and have the Locker Room app, head on over. And if you don't have the Locker Room app, it takes 2 seconds to download and create a username, and you just shoot the shit. And we'll be in the locker room. We'll be in the locker room for a good hour tonight, minimum. I don't know if Perk will be here the whole time, but we're usually kicking for a good hour.
This is a good way to wrap it. Is Fournier going to have enough time to get integrated here? 12 games left, not feeling great. So he said post-game that he had 5 days of flu symptoms and then was gassed in his ramp-up period. So I think he excused tonight. But it took Tatum a while to bounce back from that. And 12 games might not be enough, especially if he's limited in the first few. At the tail end there, maybe he's just not playing enough at that point or having enough opportunity. I don't know, but we're getting close here.
I think he will. I think because of his the fact that he's a veteran, the excitement that comes with playing in the postseason, the excitement that comes with playing in Boston. I think all of that's going to carry over for someone like Fournier. I mean, coming from the Orlando Magic, it's just a completely different culture here in Boston, and I think that's relevant for someone like him. You know, a veteran that wants to prove himself. You know, I just think he's in a position to succeed, and he doesn't hold the same weight or pressure as those top 2, 3, 4 guys on the Celtics. So that's an ideal space to be in. But we have to wait to see when it's going to happen. I just don't think it's going to prolong throughout the entire, you know, the final 12 games of the regular season.
Couple 0-shot games is tough.
Very
tough.
His
first one, 0-15, and then 0-7 and 8.
The tough thing is if Fournier is going to even experience like the full lineup around him, because it feels like, you know, one guy's out this game, one guy's out the next game, so it's hard for him to get acclimated to what a playoff roster would look like. I do think 12 games is enough to get him in the flow. I mean, this is a veteran here. You know, this isn't a rookie. This isn't a guy that's, you know, 2 years in the league. He knows, you know, what it takes to, you know, get himself going and get the guys around him going. And he has that type of a game where they're not asking him to be the guy. They're not asking him to be the number 1, the number 2, or the number 3 even. So I do think that he can serve his purpose. And if he's a bridge to the second unit, great. If he's the first guy off the bench, great. Whatever it is, I think he's a huge piece for them, you know, going down the line here and into the playoffs. But they need him, obviously, to, you know, be the guy that he was right before he went on. I mean, there was a stretch through those last couple games. I mean, he looked perfect.
Houston and Charlotte.
Yeah, he fit right in. And I know when they traded for him, guys like Kemba were like, yeah, like, you know, they were really pumped to acquire Fournier. Like, apparently, like, seemed like he would fit their style of play perfectly. So, you know, obviously tonight, first came back from COVID. I think you just repeated it, Bobby, that he said he had the flu for like 4 days or so. And he's getting his wind back and getting back into the flow of things. And, you know, hopefully he can, you know, show a pulse here going forward.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go talk to Kendrick Perkins.
In the room. We got 155 people in the room.
Oh my God!
160 people in the room.
I gotta get over there. Yeah. All right. Thanks for sticking with us, guys. I still have the comment screen up here, so even though we're about to end the stream, you can send your questions if you're an Android guy, and we'll try to get some of them on the air. Also, if you can't listen live, we do post the audio to our Celtics post-game podcast feed. So make sure you go subscribe to that wherever you get your podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, some of those other places for Androids.
Yes, sir.
Next game is Sunday at 1 o'clock against the Hornets. We will see you on Sunday afternoon.